This is Hardy Brute with another run of Merge, Maestro. The last time we did a destruction build, where our tokens couldn't actually get destroyed. And so we got a new difficulty. And today I would like to do a fruit and consumption build. But we also unlocked the orange board as well. Upgrade tokens are twice as strong. So I think that's what we'll do next because that one sounds really fun too. So we can choose between the monkey and the goat. The goat creates strawberries all on its own, so I think we'll take that. The pink board mechanic. Instead of taking an action away whenever you feed fruit, the first 2 times you do it is completely free. So that really fits the consumption build. So we got our first goat. And currently the goat is just as good as the normal level 3 token. Because he'll spawn, he'll do 1 damage. But he does the damage of the buff value that the strawberry provides. So if we're able to buff the strawberries, the goat has potential to be better and better. But probably not much more than 3 or 4 damage. Which still isn't super great, compared to some other level 3 tokens. So this is in a destruction, appear. The horse is the alternative to the goat. So instead of making a strawberry at the start, he makes a strawberry at the end of the turn. But he also does it every single turn. So I actually like the horse a bit better than the goat. But we already committed to the goat, so we're kind of stuck with him. And doing 1 damage is probably better than filling our board with strawberries that we can't actually use yet. We are currently a fruit build with a board full of fruit with nobody to eat them. Got a rainbow fish. Destroy, craft a whiskey. Gives 1 multi-strike. That's interesting. The fish and the triton are both from a new deck that we unlocked last time, called the Drinks deck. But the badger, at the end of the turn, attack for 5, and then he becomes exhausted. And if you feed him a strawberry, or any sort of consumable, he will awaken, and he will be able to do that passive attack again. So he's going to do 5 damage regardless, and because the enemy has the fly mechanic, that was not the best time to have the badgers activate, because the flies revive with any overkill damage. But now all the flies are gone, and we wiped out the ants. The spider with the fruit roll-ups will reduce all damage to 1, so this is also sort of a bad enemy for the badgers. And we don't really want to waste their activation on it. But onto the shop. I would like to get another mechanic to help us out with the fruit, because we're kind of spending it a bit too fast right now. But none of these actually help us. The trumpet would probably be better than our basic number 2. It does 1 damage when it appears, and gains 1 multi-strike, so it will attack an additional time for each level 1 token around it when it spawns. So it's basically the same as a number 2, but more often than not, it will be better. We just had the trumpet attack for 3 damage right there. These are probably the best enemies for the trumpet, because each time it does 1 damage, and it can't be overkilled. But fruit roll-ups and flies. So really bad for the badgers. So I'm actually going to feed a fruit to our queued token. So when it appeared, it actually did 2 damage instead of 1, and we could one-shot that fly. And take advantage of the free consumption with this board. So now we get a passive point, the fuel bump. Whenever a token is exhausted, level up 3 tokens lower than it, and the badger exhausts itself every single turn if it's allowed. The worm, your level 2 and lower destroyed effects also trigger when they appear. That is pretty strong too. And the accordion makes the level 1 tokens plus 1 attack every time you replace your level 1. So let's definitely take the fuel pump and aim for some high level tokens. But we got a rainbow UFO. When a token is destroyed next to it, and it has a destroyed effect, recreate that token 4 times. Which is kind of insane. But we don't have any tokens that could be destroyed, so we can't really take advantage of that effect. We did get a rainbow camera though. After 3 turns, transform the queued token into an adjacent token, which is pretty interesting. And honestly, it would help us ramp. But it doesn't really fit the theme of what I'm trying to do, so I didn't take it. But we can one-shot the gorilla. And we cannot one-shot the fruit roll-ups though. And unfortunately the gorilla gave 5 HP to the fruit roll-ups. But look how many badgers we have now. The exhaust mechanic here is insane. It upgraded all of our level 1 tokens into level 4 badgers. Because each exhaust is a guaranteed 3 upgrades. And with our entire board exhausted, everything's going to become level 4. So we really want some high level tokens now. Because we have a bunch of level 4s. And it'd be even better if we got a 6 or 7 that also had an exhaust mechanic. But neither of these 6s help the team. The previous one was about passives and countdown. This one's all about destroying things. And we don't really do that in this build. So we had no luck here. But we're geared up to scale very, very hard if we have something to gear towards. But it's only wave 6 of 15, and we have a lot more shops, so hopefully we'll find something good. I'd even take something that's sort of mediocre, that just generates fruit for us. Because fruit is becoming an issue. But our entire board is pretty much badgers now. And that's pretty awesome. So let's start making some 5s, making some room. Opening up some spots for some more badgers. Because they're just giving them away. Unfortunately, the poison pufferfish is probably going to kill one of our badgers. Although he only has 2 HP. A level 8 octopus. At the end of the turn, he's going to attack for 10. And whenever another creature other than himself consumes, the octopus will also eat it, but he'll eat 2 of those. Which is pretty good for a consumption build. But we're kind of a consumption, exhaust, scaling build. And our strawberries still only upgrade 1 attack. So I will take this, especially because it's a rainbow. But it kind of fits a different build. Because we haven't scaled our strawberries in any way. There's also some level 4s, some level 7s. That will increase these strawberries permanently or by 1. There's also a ton of different fruit. There's dishes, there's drinks, so there's all sorts of things that could be consumed that would be better than our current strawberry. So the octopus could still pop off later, if we find something better than these strawberries. My biggest fear with the octopus, because it has a passive attack, he might end up destroying himself on these pufferfish here, which would be very traumatic for my psyche. So hopefully that won't happen later on. It's a pretty big loss to lose a level 8 token. So let's see what the shop has. These are all appear effects, and they actually do trigger when they evolve, going from 1, 2, 3. But I'm still trying for a more traditional food build. The rabbit is pretty good, but he's going to eat all the strawberries, and we have issues creating strawberries right now. But the horse, on the other hand, I know we committed to the goat, but this is a rainbow horse, and he creates 2 strawberries at the end of the turn, automatically. So he just outshines the goat so hard, so we have to take the horse. And if the horse is on the board, we shouldn't have food problems anymore. So we can line up our batters again. The only thing better than the rainbow horse is probably a rainbow goat, just because he has the appear trigger to make 2 strawberries while he's evolving into the badger. And that sounds pretty awesome. So we got a fruit roll in the front, and 2 pufferfish back to back. This could be dangerous for our octopus. But the fruit roll is slowing us down, and the badger's going to exhaust and evolve. So I think we're going to have enough badgers to actually protect our octopus, because they're not exhausted when they appear. Oh, great, 3 pufferfish. I think we have enough damage here because the badgers will attack first and then the octopus, so I think our octopus is safe. Because we got 20 damage here. And then I'll kill our badger. But that's totally fine, because we got lots of badgers where that came from. The parasite is a bit of an issue because I can't really place it anywhere. But that's okay. The parasite will destroy all the tokens around it, and then itself. So you want to put it in the corner or something. but it's also pretty useful to trigger destroy effects. And so the snake definitely helps out sometimes. But the zombie, whenever he's destroyed, he'll transform the 2 lowest tokens into zombies, which is okay. And the paddle creates the queued token twice if it has an attack, otherwise he'll level it up twice, which is pretty interesting mechanic. And it's probably the build I'd want to go if I'm doing the art deck. But he doesn't really fit our build, and he would also take our horsey away. And I love my horsey. Even though I really want a rainbow goat in the end. Just don't tell the horse. But we're still set up and primed pretty hard for 5, 6, 7, 8. And our current 8 isn't that bad. He does have a passive attack, and he is scaling damage every time I use a fruit. But look at all these badgers. Let's get rid of the exhausted ones and get another level 7 token. And the pufferfish. The badgers will actually protect the octopus, so that's not a bad thing. And let's make some space to get even more badgers, because these 3 should level up. The parasite is being a bit of an issue though, keeping us from placing it on the board and making even more badgers. Craft 20 cocktails to make an improved cocktail. Set the attack of the token to 1. Usually you turn a token into a cocktail, and the damage it provides is the level of the token. But the improved is permanent. Your level 3 tokens trigger twice more, so now each horse is actually going to make 6 strawberries, which is pretty good, but we don't really have the board space for it anyways. The Statue of Liberty will do 10 damage to all enemies after 8 passive attacks, and we do have 2 passive attacks. So it will trigger eventually, but it's going to be pretty slow. And it is a lot better than our current not token 7/7. So we might as well take it. And the ship does something very similar to the octopus, but it's an automatic consumption machine. But ultimately you're buffing the ship with the other consumptions. Out of the 2 mechanics, I actually like the squid quite a bit more. Even if he wasn't rainbow, I'd probably take him over the ship. So hopefully this won't be awkward with the life, but we have a lot of badgers, and I don't think our octopus is in danger. Lost a badger, but we gained 4 more. So nothing can stop us now. The Statue of Liberty cannot be destroyed. So if it does trigger, he is safe at least. Oh no. Oh no, Mr. Squid, why? Mr. Squid, why? Well, that was awkward. And now we need to make a level 3 token without having all of them level up crazily. Because we need to get our strawberries rolling again. The sail ship plays with the juice box mechanic, and juice boxes eventually become wine. And I don't even know what wine does because I've never gotten that far with the juice. But it does all trickle down into the wine as far as I know. The camel also creates kiwis, but only when he's destroyed. And he triggers the appear effects, that's what kiwi does. And I don't want to replace our 8. And the soundboard is for a completely different build. The crane is okay, but it is going to destroy the stuff around him. The slot machine is a rainbow. It does 14 damage, and it'll do another 14 damage when it's merged. So that's just a damage outlet for us. And it's an outlet for the badgers as well. Because as soon as they're exhausted, we can always combine them for 14 damage. For those that are wondering why there's so many different colors to the arrows this time, it's because I've been matching the arrows to the decks that the tokens come from. Each deck has 20 tokens. The board you pick guarantees one type of deck, which in our case is the fruit deck, the pink one. But the other, I think 4 decks, because there's 5 total that you get, are completely random. From all of the decks we've unlocked so far. So every single time you play, it's completely random and changes quite a bit. You'll find all sorts of combinations that you couldn't find the first time you played. And I really like that playstyle. It does make it very hard to guarantee a certain build or a certain path, but you discover a lot more just on your own playing. So we'll get some more badgers here. And they're already primed and ready to go. And so we got a consuming rabbit, which probably fits the build better, but the squirrel is rainbow. So we gotta take that one. The rabbit would have helped us deal with all these fruit, but the squirrel is just gonna overload us with even more fruit. So either way, at least we have something to feed to our badgers. And I would like to make another octopus, but I don't want to lose another octopus. So I think I'm just going to keep the statues because of the pufferfish. We're on wave 12 of 15, and the main thing that changed within the difficulty is that the final enemy, the boss, will have a lot more health. So hopefully they don't have a lot more health. Because we have damage, but it's not crazy damage. It's more in the 50s, 100 range, rather than like game breaking. So if they have around 200, 300 health, we can probably still take them out before we lose all of our lives. But it could be close. Is the statues going to trigger for once? Ooh, they are. And they didn't get destroyed because they can't. So we got to keep our precious badgers. Nice. The top hat also blocks the first hit completely, which makes it also a bit awkward. But now the rest of our badgers can do damage. And we got another passive attack off. Nice. And that happens pretty consistently when we have nothing but badgers. So the hedgehog has to be destroyed to make pineapples. Got a rainbow crane and an alien. Alien's about destruction and cloning. I don't really want to replace our Statue of Liberty, because the crane only does damage when it tries to destroy something. Could finally get the rabbit. But the trumpet also does damage when it appears. And sadly we keep getting the same 6s over and over. We haven't gotten the fruit animal one. Got our rainbow printer. At the end of the turn, create the queued token twice, which is only going to be number 1 and number 2. So that wasn't great either. And there's also no way that we'd have space for any more creations. It's one of the issues I find with the food builds, is you just don't have the space for all the food. But there are actually very special tokens that will do damage based on the created things, even if they won't fit on the board. And then we could have been a really heavy horse build instead of this sexy badger build. So I'm not sure which one I would have liked more. But the shark in the vest is one of the strongest powers in the game, because it reduces all the damage it takes by 3. So you have to do at least 4 damage to even do 1 damage. Which kind of destroys some builds, but most builds have ways to scale, have ways to do more damage than just 3. But I've had a few builds that I need some sort of scaling in it, just to combat these sharks. But to be honest, later on, the bosses in higher difficulties are much harder. So if you're having trouble with the shark, there's just no way you're going to be able to defeat the boss. So it's a good learning hurdle, I suppose. So we've got a lot of statues, but they're also taking up badger space, which is creating a bit of an issue. We got a rainbow 6 here. Adjacent appear effects will trigger twice, and if it's not in the corner, it'll become exhausted. But if it's exhausted, it'll level up all my board below level 6. So this is kind of a double whammy. I don't know how great it is, but it could give us a lot of slot machines. It's also something that could have defined our build if we had found it early on. Changed our build more towards an appear build, and used the level 6s to make all of our other tokens higher level. But I really liked how our badger popped off, and the only thing I wish we could have had is we could have made our board 2 or 3 times bigger. And then we could have had so many badgers. It had so much space for fruit as well. That would have been amazing. But we actually did better before we went higher into the tokens. Although the statues are pretty nice. We're just having an issue with space right now. So let's feed the badgers. Because anything that's not a badger will become a badger. Besides the statues. And let's reset it again. The badgers are only going to do 3 damage to these sharks, but they will trigger these statues, who should do around 7 damage. So it's a slow and steady build. Just keep feeding the badgers. And the slot machines will actually be enough to get rid of these sharks as well. The top hats are also a bit difficult to get by. But we've got enough badgers, enough fruit, that I think will be okay. And we're almost on to wave 15. Let's actually make another motorcycle, so that we get some slot machines and clear the board. That was very nice. I'm also thinking of making another octopus. Riskin the biscuit. Just because we need the space. And instead of passive attacks, it would attack every single turn, but it would only attack a single enemy. We have a lot of motorcycles, a lot of potential statues, but we need space for the badgers to activate too. So this is the final shop. A rainbow hedgehog is not helpful, nor is the record. The dynamite has to be destroyed to take effect. None of these ones. Found the camel again. Could finally get the rainbow rabbit, but I don't think we need to. We actually haven't had too many trumpets, to be honest. And they could have actually helped us against the top hats. So let's make 2 octopuses. This is the final wave. And let's hope that we don't find any more pufferfish, because we haven't seen one in a while. And now that we have the octopuses again, anything that we feed these strawberries to besides the octopuses. So we just want to spread the strawberry love around. But we need to work back towards our first badger, so that we can start doing the exhaust mechanic again. Because we have a bunch of squirrels, we have a horse, but we actually need 2 horses in order to get the badger going. And just so many top hats now. But we do have 2 horses, and we got our badger back, so we can start scaling again. And the statues took out the top hats nice. So we're slowly starting to scale back up. Combine the squirrels, get 2 horses, and get another badger. We can also feed the badgers, get the passive attacks, and get something to upgrade as well. We should get 3 badgers here, I think. I only got 2. That is unfortunate. But the slot machine will take care of it. And this looks like the final boss. He's going to do 1 damage to us at the end of each turn. And he also has 144 HP. Which is a lot. So this could become kind of hairy. Because we also have to kill the shark, which is kind of an issue for us. But we did break through when the octopus and the statues triggered. So we got 1 badger. We've got 2 octopuses. So let's make it a 3rd. And let's actually just buff up our octopuses a bunch. Because they're going to do 30 damage, and every time it's buffed up, it should eventually be enough damage. Because it went up to 14. So I think I'm just going to keep feeding strawberries until the octopuses do enough damage. And they are going to carry us. The badgers are also going to attack too. So they did 16 that time, nice. So I hope you enjoyed the sexy badger build. It became more of an exhaust and consume build, and not necessarily quality consumption. But I'll see you later.